Welcome back to the Main Beam Podcast. This is episode 10. I'm Brady Stockman, one of your hosts.
I'm Landon.
I'm Spencer.
And we're sitting here with a special guest tonight, a taxidermist and a big deer killer himself, Skylar Haslag. Skylar's shy tonight.
Not sure what I was supposed to say.
No. Today is, what is today? Tuesday the 6th of February. Man, January freaking rolled by on us.
Today's the 6th. That
Yeah.
means waterfowl close here.
Yeah, I
today.
was going to say waterfowl close here today. We were busy goose hunting the last couple of weeks when we probably should have been doing a little whitetail work, but we get done with deer season and like to shoot a few honkers. So,
Well, that and a lot of deer still holding both sides.
yeah, we're kind of waiting for the sheds to
Although
drop.
they are coming off earlier this year than.
Seems like earlier this year than last year,
Yeah,
don't know.
for sure.
but we got that big cold spell come through and big drop in testosterone. It'll cause them to lose a little early. So, but I think Spencer, you walked one farm already.
Yep, found two oldies.
Yep, two oldies. Jumped a big one, still holding both sides.
I mean, wasn't big, but
Yeah,
up and comer.
Yeah, up and comer. I walked some public
Yeah, we haven't really.
and lost a gun.
Yeah,
Well,
I get that.
I'll tell that. I'll get that out of the way before we do anything else. It was Friday, whatever Friday was, the 2nd. Yeah, it was the 2nd because it was
Yeah.
our sister's birthday.
My sister's turning 21, and I'm stuck driving them to the bar and everything else. And Brady's like, I think I'm going to go shed hunting.
Yeah, I
I'm
said,
like,
fuck
"Oh,
that. I'm not
sounds-
going. I'm going fucking looking for shit.
That
So
sounds fun.
I loaded the e-bike up and I'm like, I'm going to go, just drive some public fences and stuff and look for, some early sheds. I swear to God, I unloaded the e-bike, got on it, and for whatever reason, I always bring binoculars, but I took the binoculars out of my bino harness and put my 45 in it just because, hell, you never know what you're going to run into on public. And as I was bouncing down, I was just driving through this CRP on this public, bouncing along, looking for sheds, driving this way, driving that way. And I looked down and my bino harness was open and my fucking 45 wasn't in it. So I was like, okay, it cannot be that far back. Like I probably drove like realistically 3/4 to a mile on the e-bike already, but I knew I had it to a certain point. So I went back, started looking. I looked for 2 hours, and at this point, it was starting to get dark. I wasn't finding any sheds. I was just trying to find my damn gun back. So I called our local conservation agent, which is a good friend of ours, and I'm like, what the hell am I supposed to do? I lost my gun out here. And he's like, man, he's like, if you can't find it, in this weekend, he said, just let me know. We can do some sort of report or something. And no sooner than I hung up with him, I literally was walking back to where I had the bike parked and I found it. But
Yeah, but I get a phone call and I'm like, Brady looking for sheds, phone call, like he must have
found
I'm on him.
found
I'm
something.
fucking on him.
Yeah, I get on. Yeah, you want to hear something gay? Like, yeah, I could only imagine what this is gonna be about. He's like, I had 45 and something and it fell off the e-bike, and I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it fell out in the field. I can't find it. I was like, well, just backtrack where you came from. I of course, I wasn't there, whatever. And so the grass was pretty tall and stuff. I can't find it. Of course, his 45 is
Green.
Yeah, it's OD. It's literally OD green. It looks like grass.
very well.
And another shitty into the shed hunting. I get back and they obviously, the listener isn't going to know where I'm at, but you guys knew where I was. And the public pull off there is like there's 2 private drives that split it. So whenever I was pulled off there, like the landowners, he usually comes out and talks to us, and he's a nice guy. But for whatever reason, he had his 2 dogs and he had a bunch of damn goats with him. I'm not shitting you.
Literally goats with him.
Yes, no, the
Like
goats were.
following behind.
Yes, the goats were with him. They were standing in the public parking lot, and I'm like, "What the fuck is this guy doing?" Like, and he was nice. He helped me load the bike up. But when I dropped my tailgate, the goats, one of the goats had its antlers and was fucking ramming it into my tailgate, and I'm like, oh my, which I didn't care that much because when I bought my truck, the tailgate was already fucked up on it, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I mean, it was fucking scratching the shit out of my tailgate. So I'm like, all right, well, whatever, no big deal. So I started talking to the guy about whatever, since he lives there, different deer that people have killed there this year. And I keep hearing doom, doom, doom. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, what the hell is going on now? So I walked around the right side of my truck, and the goat is like rearing back, like rams, they rear back and boom, they hit each other. That's what he's doing to my tire. He's like boom, boom, hitting my tire. So at this point, he goes, oh, just grab it by the antlers and yank it. So I grabbed it by its antlers, sternly. And I'm like, get the fuck away from my truck, stupid ass goat. And then he was like, well, let me get your name. He's like, I'll get your name and your number. And he was talking about coyote hunting and different stuff out there, and I was going to ask him about waterfowl hunting his lake. And so I opened the door to my truck to get a pencil or a pen and a paper out so I can give him my number. And the goat literally jumps in the truck on the driver's seat. I'm like, big ass goat too. Like it's like the size of a decent, like a lab, like big goat.
Sounds like we should be eating gyro sandwiches right now.
Yeah, and I'm like. So at this point, I'm like, dude, this fucking goat, like, I'm about to run it over on my way out.
Should just pulled out your 45 you lost.
Yeah, just unload into it. So anyways, the guy's like, oh, just yank him out of the truck. Just yank him out. He likes to go in vehicles. And I'm like, dude, the goat's like a fucking dog. And so I yank him out of my truck, and my door's still open. Well, he gets fucking pissed off, and he gets his antlers under the door of my truck, yanking his head up now on the door of my truck. I'm like, I was actually pretty pissed off at this point. I'm like, all right, yeah, dude, I gotta go, like, whatever. And he's like, oh yeah, man, nice to meet you. I'm like, fuck, like, honestly to God, I didn't know what I was gonna do. Like, had his goat, like, when it was hitting my tire, had it actually done it to the body of my truck? Like, it's aluminum, so it would have dented the shit out of it.
They're like, nice to meet you, sir.
Would have destroyed it.
Yeah, it would have fucking torn it all to hell. But yeah, so that's my tragedy of trying to shed hunt so far. Terrible.
It still sounds better than my adventure of going to the bars and driving around with 21-year-olds.
All right, that's enough shit talking on our shed hunting. We got Skylar sitting here with us. How long you been doing taxidermy?
I believe I got into it. I think 2016, I guess, is whenever I decided to start. Kind of just fell into it. I never really even looked into doing it at all before that. 2015, I guess, I shot my first bow buck, and I was going to go get it mounted and dropped it off and everything, just kind of looking around the shop that I was at and just kind of fell in love with it. I went back home and told my wife, and she definitely was the reason behind even starting any of it. She pushed me to go to school, and she said, maybe you should try to look into doing it. And since then, I've just picked it up.
That is a great supportive wife.
Yeah.
I was about to say, did you think you were crazy? Or?
Yeah.
Skylar, she told me not to do it. You don't need no more hobbies.
I did it anyway.
No, see,
Now she's probably regretting it, though, because you mounted tons and tons of stuff of your own.
yeah, she's probably regretting a little bit of all the stuff in the house that gets mounted for sure.
Where'd you go to school at?
I went to Missouri Taxidermy Institute at the lake.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's actually, he closed down. He's not doing it no more.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Damn.
it was just a month class and really wasn't super detailed. It was,
Just
for
your
all
basics.
for all the stuff we did crammed into a month, it definitely,
Hell.
yeah. I mean, it got your toes wet, but that wasn't.
Did he teach deer, bird, and everything, or is just one specific?
Yeah. So within that month, we did a duck, a pheasant, a white-tailed deer. We did a life size, so you could pick a bobcat, coyote, and then I did 2 skin mount fish,
Oh, hell.
all within a month.
How was the fish?
It was not good.
Yeah, not fun. I feel like fish is one of them things. If you're mountain fish, you better just stick to probably only fish. I couldn't imagine. I guess they were skin.
They were skin mounts, yeah. They didn't turn out very good. None of my stuff I did there turned out very good compared to today, but It's kind of the way any taxidermy business is, I believe, is everyone starts.
Oh yeah,
gotta
you got to
start
start somewhere. Otherwise, you're. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, you can't be perfect starting out.
Yeah, and I mean, same what goes with fish. I guess if I kept doing them, maybe kept at it, I'd probably eventually
Yeah,
get
learn a
better at 'em,
couple
but
tricks of the trade and different stuff.
I'd say me, as along with a lot of others, is it's
Yeah,
very time consuming and it's hard to. So very few people actually do them.
right. How many deer do you think you've mounted in the last? I guess what's that? 8 years since 16.
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. 6-8 years.
I would hate to guess.
A
Probably,
lot.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'd say the first year probably took around 10 or 15, and then every year after that it kept growing. I took about 20 or 30 the next year, around 40 the next, and I think the most I ever took was 80 shoulder mounts, and that's not including anything else.
Wow.
And then right around that time, it was getting to be around COVID-ish area,
Yeah.
and ended up going somewhere to. I went and got some tickets for a banquet, and the owners there, and had the tickets there, and went in, and somebody offered me a job. It was right down the road, and
Yeah.
hard to pass up. So
Yeah.
I went there just during that time, and I'm still there now currently. But fortunately enough, they were this whole time that I've had me hired on. They've been very lenient with me being able
Yeah.
to do some taxidermy yet, and
That's nice.
definitely don't ever plan to get out of it. I slowed down a little bit for that reason, also because I was getting behind, and now I'm finally starting to feel like I'm getting more
Getting
caught
caught
up to
up.
where.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so eventually I'd like to get back into it full time again.
Yeah.
May not be next year, 2 years, might be.
Yeah. Down the road.
Yeah, but eventually I would like to get back into it for sure.
I like. What were you gonna say?
How many deer did you take in this year?
I took roughly around 25 shoulder
25.
mounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and probably about close to that many European mounts.
Really?
So,
How long does it take you to go like start to finish on one shoulder mount?
I would say roughly, in all total, probably 12 hours.
12 hours.
Yeah, and that's give or take. Some is a little more, some is a little less. you know.
Yeah, depending on form and I guess
A
different.
lot of it
shit.
just depends on stitching. Somebody shoots one in the chest, or
Yeah.
somebody cuts holes while they're trying to cape it, or things of that nature can take a little longer. But yeah, I mean, sometimes the forms, the hides won't fit as well as others, and sometimes you got to shave them down and make them fit, or
Yeah.
so a lot of factors can go into it. Also, something I've kind of learned throughout the process, back when I first started, even my teacher back then, there was never really any alterations on the face of the mannequin. Mostly you just clayed your eyes and slid your cape on and you rolled on. But the more and more I go into it, the more I realize, there's blockier head deer, there's
Yeah.
younger deer, that narrower faces that you may do less stuff
Yeah.
to. But anymore, more mature deer and stuff, I like to build up a lot of the muscles on the face and make them look a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say you do a lot of custom stuff. Like you use the custom nose pieces and the yeah. I was gonna say I've seen a lot of the ones you did. And you make them look a lot. Like you said, every deer has different characteristics, whether older, younger, whatever. So
Yeah.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah. So every deer's they're all different. And
Yeah. Realistically, if you broke it down, I feel like taxidermists, like I know everyone always complains about, oh God, they charge so much. They charge so much. If you realistically broke it down, I don't think they make shit.
You don't.
Like, yeah. Like by the time you take material, say, I'm assuming you probably have what, $250 material?
double that.
Really? Yeah. I was going to say, I know, different guys are, my taxidermist is, $700 or $500, that's outrageous. I'm like,
Yeah. Well,
shit, I'd pay $1,200 if it was.
well, I tell you what, there's definitely wide varieties of prices, and a lot of times your variety of prices comes with the skill level that you're getting as well. So you could call around, and people will find those cheaper prices,
Oh yeah.
but 9 times out of 10 they're unhappy with it.
Yeah.
Usually, what I like to tell people if they're pricing around, I just say you don't have to drop it off, but you're more than welcome to come look at my work before you make your decision.
Yeah.
As far as that goes. But yes, it definitely, by the time you break it all down, it's
Yeah.
really not.
Yeah.
Did you just bring Skylar on here to just bash him like that?
Yeah, you piece of shit. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely.
He said that a couple times last year, or not last year, the year before with your bow buck. That form didn't fit. This fucking piece of shit. Gotta just get on there. I mean, he was cussing it, shaving it. He had all glue on there. He was still shaving it down. He's like, motherfucker, just get on there.
I hate it that you were there for that because that's probably the worst deer I've ever mounted as far as fitment goes.
It's all right.
I know this is the right size.
I say that every day building cabinets.
And again, too, with that price, sometimes you'll hear, a lot of people say everything's doubled probably since COVID.
Oh yeah, sure.
And actually, I had a buddy come by the other day, and I gave him the price this year. I was at $750, which probably will go up this next season.
It has to.
Yeah. But he's like, man, I remember when deer were $400, $450. And I said, well, just like everything else is.
That was pre-Biden.
Yeah.
No, hell, I
Gas
remember.
used to be cheaper than $4 a gallon
It
too.
was.
I think them strutters that we have on the limb up there, I think whenever we got them, that was whatever. Landon's got one, I got one. That was the first turkey we killed. I think when Dad had them done, they were only like $400 mounts.
Yeah, correct.
And if you had to do that right now, it's probably a $1,200 turkey mount.
Yep.
And they're so much different now, too.
Yeah.
Like color and...
Everything's different. Whenever them things were done, it was, George Washington was president.
No, I'm surprised. Well, we got our big HLRBO drop, our backdrop in now, so you can't see it. But back behind there, Dad's got some deer that he's killed. Hell, that 10-pointer he killed 20 years ago, and it's still. I don't know who even mounted it. But
I think Gil did.
Gil mounted the 10-pointer.
Yeah, Grandpa's brother.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he used to do a bunch
But
of taxidermy stuff.
Vogel did the 12-pointer behind there, and he did a hell of a job on it. But
Skylar, how much? I got a question for you. How much do you charge for a goat? Because if I go shed,
yeah, I know a goat that needs to be
if I
killed.
go shed hunting with my truck, might have one for you to mount.
Yeah. Well, I guess that price would just range depending on what you want done with it.
Send the guy a picture.
I want it to look pissed off and its horns are reared back like it's about to hit something.
Yeah, I'll give you the panel from the side of my door and just fucking wedge it all in between its horns.
That'll look good. I like it.
No shit. That damn goat. I swear to God, next time I go there, and the dude's got peacocks. Obviously, Max and everyone will know where I'm talking about. The dude's got peacocks, and he told me, he's like, yeah, we've had people complaining the last couple months because usually like spring and summer, the peacocks, when they hear shit, they scream. And if you ever heard a peacock, they
Yeah.
and they're loud. It's like
really
loud.
crazy sound, but it gets the turkeys fired up.
Yeah.
I
And
don't know why they would complain then.
I
So
actually have
that's-
a peacock call.
Dude,
Really?
yeah, that's what,
that's what I was talking to this guy about because I always hear him and he's like, yeah, that's my peacock. I'm like, yeah, every time it calls or whatever, like I can hear the turkeys on the public, whatever. And he's like, yeah, I've had people complain about that. They think it's scaring the turkeys. I'm like, fuck, it ain't scaring them. I hope you keep scaring the peacock because it's making them gobble.
talking about
But-
peacocks, we hunt this place, and I won't say where, but it's a large chunk of ground, private ground, and you used to always hear, we'd always hear these peacocks on this by this public piece, and so we were hunting this day and started hearing this peacock on this place, and they're not close to each other whatsoever. Just we're hearing this peacock, and was like, what in the hell? And we're on a couple thousand acres, and so it's like, what in the hell? So anyway, continued to hear this peacock. So I ended up talking with the landowner, like, yeah, man, I like keep hearing this peacock, and he's like, I forget what he said, but turns out a neighbor however far away, like the peacock got away, and the landowner called me. It was after turkey season stuff, and a lot of birds were grouped back up, and he's like, you won't believe it. He's like, the damnedest thing I ever saw. He's like, there was a whole flock of turkeys out there, and he's like, there's a peacock walking around with them.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I swear I was hearing this peacock. So we go hunting the next year and setting up or whatever, and I'm not shitting you. Anyway, this peacock starts going off in the morning, and I'm like, did that thing really make it? It was with a flock of turkeys. Like anywhere they went,
Yeah, the
the peacock was with them, whatever.
We're waiting for some inbreeds.
Put a strut and stuff with it too, or no?
I really didn't like
we,
get
we,
to.
we never got to
to-
actually
Not
like
actually
call
see
it
it.
in.
Just
Like,
heard it.
yeah, you could just hear it, and it was clear. You know, whenever it would call, it was with the turkey.
The landowner had seen it several times with the birds.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess this year we're gonna figure out whether it's
Yeah.
if they,
Peacock gobbler.
Yeah. No, this
imagine if the peacock rolled in though with like two toms strutting and this peacock just comes all fanned out. And like,
Oh, I know. I'm not. Fuck that. I'd roll that. Fuck.
yeah,
I would.
you shoot
I would.
do you shoot the peacock?
I think so.
I
I
would.
think so. How many other chances you gonna have?
Imagine, yeah, I'm getting my mount back today. And you bring it in the house. It's got a 12-foot fan on it.
That would take up some space.
Well, how much do you charge a mount of peacock?
Yeah.
Not the same as a turkey, I suppose.
No, but when I was talking to this dude about his peacocks, he's like, "Yep, see that tree right there?" He's like, "Peacock roosts at the top of it." And he's like, "Hold on, any minute now," because it was getting dark at this point. He's like, "It'll be flying up." So we
To the top of the tree.
yeah, so we stood there for a minute. He said it roosts right around 40 foot, I think. And all of a sudden, I swear to God, you just see foop, 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 like a turkey. It goes flying up and it sits just right on the very peak of the tree. What the hell? I was like, what the hell?
I knew they could fly, but I didn't imagine that they would
Oh yeah, that's
roost in the.
yeah. He's
top
got
of
a
the-
chicken barn there. He said he's got like 190 chickens in or some shit.
Fuck,
I
it's
was-
got a 12-foot tail.
Yeah, I was like,
Bobcat to come up there and just snatch it.
which we always thought there's a fence in between the public and the private, like a sucker rod fence. We always thought just by the way he was calling, we thought, oh, like he just flies up and he roosts on the top of the fence. But no, he said he's so loud he sits on top the tree.
Maybe you need my peacock call this year.
I might need to borrow.
Oh,
it.
dude, this piece of public, we've turkey hunted it for God. How long do you think we've turkey hunted? 6 years now.
A long time.
And we're so close every year, but the turkeys on this place are so hard to kill. Like
That or someone.
yes,
someone
usually
comes in and-
usually it's somebody else comes in and busts them off, but yeah, they're a pain in the ass out there, so we kind of stopped hunting.
I'm surprised the guy said that people complain or whatever about the peacock. I'm surprised he wasn't like complaining about us because we used to laugh so hard at listen to the peacock. We'd sit there and like make it do its call and stuff, you know. And we'd sit there in the parking lot and keep honking the horn, and it would like start calling, and we'd honk the horn again, and it would call again. So I'm surprised he was actually saying people were.
Yeah, he said he had several people complain. He never said it was like an agent went out there or whatever, but he said he had several people complain whether they, I don't know, left notes.
Well,
in
what
his-
are they going to complain about? It's on his place, and he's.
I don't
What
know.
can they do?
He told me that they were complaining because it was something about it was scaring the turkeys or something.
But yet he had poults and
Yeah,
hens
he
in
had
his-
2 hens and 25 poults eaten out of his chicken barn this year.
The world's just a soft.
Oh,
place anymore.
I'm sure it was some dumbass people out there hunting public that
Yeah.
were like, "Oh my God, it's scaring the turkey." The peacock would call and the turkey would gobble, and they probably didn't know what the hell to think. I don't know. That's what he was saying. I don't know if the dude was full of shit or not, but
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of.
anyways, that's a side story. But what's what's some of the worst things you've ever seen come in like to your taxidermy shop? Like, have you ever had anyone like just cut the head off or something stupid?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, numerous times. I've had people come in, had to be cut off behind the ears or something, and they want full shoulder mounts. Yeah, it happens.
Can you make this work?
No, we're missing a little bit of it. I'll get spare capes.
Yeah.
And we'll just go that route usually. Sometimes they may not want to do that if they don't want
Yeah.
if they want it the original, they might change their mind and just do a European mount or something on it.
Yeah.
But
That's wild. We
Did you ever turn anyone down? Like, won't do it,
as far as the shape of the mount or
or
the-
just like some nasty.
quality,
or,
like if it comes in, it's rancid and nasty as hell.
No. Typically, like European mounts, which I don't even do them myself anymore. I used to when I first started. Now, actually, which I'll shout him out, but it's Boneyard Taxidermy in Vienna. I have Josh.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody do all my. He does all of my beetle cleaning and stuff. He does a great job with them. But same with him. I have the same fee that he would as far as a gag fee. And
Yeah.
So if you bring it in rotten,
Yeah.
and hopefully
getting
that just
charged for it.
deters
people from doing it.
yeah, the next year. And sometimes they don't know any better, and it's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, but I mean, it's going to keep you from doing it again next year,
Yeah.
I don't think he'll listen to it, but if he did, he would know who he is. But we had one of Dad's friends one year. shot a deer and he just wanted the antler, like he just wanted the antlers off of it. But instead of sawing them, like he was just going to saw them off.
No, instead of cutting the skull plate,
instead of cutting the skull plate off, he whatever.
like skull capping it
He cut it
above the brows.
Yeah, he cut it above the brow.
Oh, wow.
So
the base and the brows were still on the deer.
yeah. And so after like it was about a month or so later, and he wanted to know if he could get a replacement cape. But he could. You think a taxidermist could still mount this? we were like, no, there's no way. Like you clearly sawed it off
It
above the
wasn't
brow.
that bad of a deer either. I mean, it was probably 135-inch 10, like probably his biggest deer. But he had a really big deer on camera that year or something, and he just got like a glimpse of this deer or something, thought it was it, shot it. Well, when he ended up finding it, he wasn't the happiest because, you know, he thought it was this big deer or something. And not that he was like super pissed, but at the end of the day, whenever, you know, he kind of calmed down and realized, yeah, I killed a pretty nice deer still. Yeah, he
wanted to get it
mounted.
still.
We were like, no, like, what were you even thinking? Like,
Yeah.
you cut it off, like the brows and shit are still on the deer.
So funny.
It could be fixed.
Yeah, it could. Like, if someone really wanted to, like, put some time into it, it could be.
I actually had a guy last year. He shot the antler off, like right at the base underneath of the eye guard, and I'm working on repairing it right now. It's actually
Really?
one of the last ones from year before. I've got 3 left. So
On like accident,
yeah. I think he shot it 2 or 3 times. I think he shot it the first time and thought it was going to get away, so he shot again, and So, and needless to say, he found the antler and everything, but it was definitely shot off.
welcome to Missouri Rifles. Dude.
Yeah. But nonetheless, I mean, it's going to get fixed, and I would say by the time it's looking pretty good already. I haven't stained it, but for the most part, it's pretty well done. It's going to look like you never even shot it off.
We always try and take, like, the utmost care of, like, I don't care if it's a duck or a deer or whatever. Like, we've talked before, we're like taxidermy people. Like, if I kill it, 99%, like, I don't even care if it's a 110-inch management deer.
I love good taxidermy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out of room in the house now, and I'll still try to squeeze stuff on the wall. So, like, I love taxidermy. I love looking at good taxidermy, like go in someone's house and see the things they got mounted. But
it's hard for some people, and if you follow like any Facebook like taxidermy groups, it's so hard for some people to pick the difference between like good taxidermy and bad taxidermy. And I get it, like there's people that hunt that they may only have $300 a year to spend on a mount, and they send it to somebody, and if they get it back and they're happy with it, that's fine. But I know people, they've posted deer, and I look at them every day on Facebook. Got my deer back, got my 2023 deer back, got it back. And you look at it and I'm like, holy shit. Like if my mount came back like that, like I would be pissed. Like it doesn't even look close to real, but
yeah. And that's where earlier, like I said, with the price variance, and a lot of times too with my price, when I told you that price was double from $250, a lot of that's me putting extra materials in that cost.
Yes, sure.
Because I could do without a lot of like the replacement noses that I use. A lot of the stuff I use, I could go a cheaper route.
Sure.
But what you're going to get back in the end result's going to look like that $300 mount.
Yeah.
And my personal preference, like even when I was a kid, I'd be home from school in the summer and I'd sit at the table all day and just draw.
Yeah.
I would never get bored of it. And so art's kind of always been something that I've always been passionate about. And then even, as I set up until 2015, I never even had anything mounted.
Really?
And so that was where whenever I went to the taxidermy shop, and that was where I kind of seen where I wanted to do it and pursue it. And it was up until that point to where I realized that, it'd be something that I could be interested in.
Yeah.
a taxidermy is like an art. That's what it is.
Oh, dude, I said it on when the podcast with me, Spencer, and Alan. I don't think taxidermists, like, obviously I'm not going to complain about a cheaper price, like if it was quality, but I don't think they make enough, and I wouldn't want the pressure of, making someone's memory is what I guess I'll call it. You kill this deer and, you're in charge of mounting it. I would feel so much pressure to make it look good that it would be stressful to me.
It's always one of my goals. If I wouldn't like it on my wall, I wouldn't want to send it out my door. So a lot of times I'll be very particular with how I do stuff. And sometimes there's just no helping it. Sometimes there could be...
Yeah, you can't get around some things.
Yeah, like there could be hair loss, not from me, but say when they shot the deer, they had ticks, he was chewing his hair, or scratching his back with his antlers.
Yeah.
They'll lose all their hair scratching away at ticks and stuff, and sometimes they just come in looking like traps.
Or dragging them. We've had people that I know that drag them out, and they'll tie ratchet strap around the neck and just start yanking it out. And I'm like, all right, there goes all the, there goes all your hair.
That line. You'll see it in the neck.
Or drag it for however many yards. And I understand. We've had deer we had to drag a long ways. If I can get a side by side or a cart somewhere and put them on there. 100.
Anymore. I'm so like Deuce this year. I even told Spencer, I was so particular. I said, I want a fucking side by side in this son of a bitch, and I want to lift him up, put him in the side by side, and out we go. Like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
We didn't drag him anywhere, and if we can help it, that's.
And it's always good having guys like you that understand taking care of the mount, or taking care of your harvest before it gets to the mount is definitely key. There's guys, I remember when I went to school, my teacher told me a story. He said, you're going to run into some people that just don't know a thing.
Yeah.
And he was telling me a story one time, and I'll never forget it, but he said he had a customer bring his antlers in, or his deer to get mounted. And he said, he asked if he could straighten out the main beam on the antler, because he said when they were pulling it out that it had pulled apart. That the main beam on the rack had pulled because they pulled the antlers, and he's like, ain't no way. But just some silly people that don't really know a thing about what they're doing.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've been to.
I mean, and in all honesty, I mean, I could see it. I mean, imagine someone who just is getting into hunting. Maybe their parents never hunted, their grandparents never hunted, and they decide to take it up, and they go out on a piece of public and say they do kill, whether it's a 120-inch deer or 100-inch deer, and they're like, you know what, I'm gonna get this mounted. Hell, they don't know the difference whether it's. I mean,
which is fine. You got to start somewhere, as I said, even with anything.
Oh yeah.
If they did bend it, I want to find that guy because I want to stretch a few of mine.
It'd be good to learn how, anyways.
Yeah. We'll have to get this guy on next year. We do a shrimp and crab boil every year for rifle season. Second week of rifle season, ain't it? Or is it first weekend?
First weekend.
Yes, first weekend of rifle season every year. We've done it for like 8 years now up at these guys' camp. And one of the guys is a singer. He's got Dave Baker, man, sings phenomenal. And one of the guys there, his name's Neely. And this dude, when they first started hunting, he no idea what they were doing, never hunted before. They go up to this farm. And I don't know, it was a little buck or doe or whatever the hell it was, but the dude shoots it, and they're like, oh, they hear him shooting. They're like, oh, our buddy must have killed one. And they hear boom, 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 and then a little pause, and he's reloading, boom, boom, boom. He had no idea like what the hell he was doing. Well, he shot the deer, walked up to it, and just out of nerves, it was just kind of kicking still. So he kept shooting it. I shit you not. I'll have to have him on to tell the story. I think he shot this deer like 20 some times.
No, it wasn't 20 some times, but it was like 8 to 10.
Yeah, but
more than enough.
Yeah, but he just kept shooting. He just kept shooting it because it kept moving. So he was like, "Oh, it's still moving. Like I guess I need to keep shooting."
Yeah, like I'm sure he plenty killed it by definitely the second or third, but
it looked like Swiss cheese. I'm sure he's shooting like 30-30 or 45-70.
These guys, just started hunting. As a group of guys had no clue what they were doing, so they take it to a meat locker because they didn't know what they were doing. Not gutted or nothing. And they were asking the guy, and the guy was like, absolutely not.
Yeah, he said,
take this back with you.
No,
throw it in the ditch.
He literally told them to take it behind the place and like throw in the dumpster. They're like, you can't do anything with this deer.
No,
Two-shot up.
Well, I can't exactly remember. I think they ended up taking it or doing something with it, but they wanted him to gut it because they'd never, gutted a deer or whatever. And the guy was like, no, not at all. Yeah. Like, you guys are going to gut it. And so I can't remember. I think they said they took it over in his dumpster or whatever and gutted it in his dumpster. I'm not sure if they brought it like back in there and he ended up doing it or what. But it was just no experience, no. They didn't know what they were.
Oh yeah, they didn't
Right.
know what the hell.
They didn't have anyone.
Well,
we were.
and some people don't, even with, back to the taxidermy part of it, where people call somebody just to get their deer mounted. They don't even know the different qualities
Oh no, they don't.
of a mount.
No.
So sometimes they just find somebody and they just go with them.
Yeah, I've definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
We were fortunate enough, we grew up or had someone to take us and say, this is what we're going to do, or this is not how you want to do, kind of right from wrong. And then we learned, you learn a lot just from, trial and error. And
yeah,
we're learning all the time.
in
still.
taxidermy wise, I mean, Dad was taking his shit to Vogel for how many years, and he was one of the, call it the top best around.
Yeah,
and
I would say in this area. For
yeah,
sure.
I mean, everyone knew who he was, and when you walked in there, you seen some quality mounts. So just when we were young, we kind of knew going. He would say, "Oh, this is what you want to look for. This is what you do." And I mean, I would honestly advise anyone to reach out to a taxidermist, whether it's a day waterfowl hunt or deer hunt or whatever, and say, "Hey, what if I kill a bird I want to mount, or I kill a deer I want to mount? What do you recommend? I'd like." For you, what would make it easier on you? What do you want me to do? And they may give you some tips and say, well, hell, you need to do this, and this.
Because me as a hunter, if I'm gonna pay for anything, I want it to be the best that it can be. I don't want to. Now, granted, when you were talking about like hair loss and stuff, I've shot deer that are all rutted up from the rut, have scars, missing hair, and most of the time, the taxidermist will say, hey, we can turn it this way,
Right.
or
Correct.
turn it that way to hide that scar. And sometimes I'll just tell you, no, it doesn't matter to me. That's how I killed the deer, and I understand it.
Ultimately, you're the one looking at it every day.
Yeah.
So you have to be the one to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And honestly, most of the time, the only thing I'm looking at is the rack. So
Yeah. That usually it is. Me personally, like when I came down here into your basement, that was the last thing I looked at, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, I seen him walking around looking at some of them. I was like, he's nitpicking them.
I don't look at the racks anymore.
Yeah.
I've seen so many of them that it
Dude.
doesn't bother me anymore.
It's like kitchen cabinets to us. I walk in so many houses anymore, and I mean, we've installed hundreds of sets of cabinets, and every time I walk in someone's kitchen, I look at it and I'm like, you definitely got these fuckers from like
got them from Home Depot.
Yeah, I'll say they're either Lowe's cabinets or I walk in, I'm like, damn, you had someone that knew what the hell they were doing looking at them, and I can nitpick stuff, and I'm sure it's the same with any industry.
You could probably pick that out right away, too.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'll notice like my girlfriend's best friend bought a house, and as soon as I went into it, the first thing she asked me, all right, well, what do you think about the cabinets? And I walked in, I was just, nitpicking shit. Look, I was like, oh, look at this, look at that. And she's like, well, I never even would have noticed if you wouldn't have showed me.
Yeah.
Just
And a lot of people wouldn't.
Yeah.
Just
And
for being
it's-
around like just construction and homes in general, it's not only cabinets. I mean, I walk in, look at different walls or look at different areas, and like, damn, whoever did that,
Oh,
did
it's
a
shitty
job.
Yeah, same with taxidermy.
got away with it.
There's a deer right back here that you can't see, but you'll have to look at it later. And the guy who did it he lived down the street, and he did a good job on it, but the antlers sit so like the antlers literally are tilted like up at the sky.
And that's just something you notice. There's probably more flaws that you don't see.
Yeah.
Well, I was just joking about looking at nothing but racks earlier, but I'm the same way. I'm really particular. Like I try to nitpick different. I really look at them and stuff that a lot of people probably never would see, or you're not going to see unless you really get up on it. But I always notice little knick-knack things. It's like, okay.
And I don't know if you guys have seen, like on my Facebook, I finally started one back up. I had one back in the day. Back whenever I started that job and tried to slow down, I deleted it, trying to deter some people from remembering or contacting me. I just wanted to kind of keep it friends and family or returning customers and such. That way I could kind of slow it down. I even got rid of my Google account because I was even getting weird calls for that. That was actually, I would get calls for pet chickens, and
Can you mount my cat?
I had a call. The weirdest one was a human arm.
Really?
Yeah, and it was after that call. I was at work at my other job, and at that point, I went home that night and got rid of my Google account because I was like, I can't deal with calls like this every day.
That's hilarious.
I was about to ask because I know a lot of people.
Pets are
or
huge.
A different taxidermist said that he couldn't do, like, he got calls all the time about mountain dogs and people wanted their animals.
It's honestly a bigger commodity in like a city.
Yeah.
Like St. Louis,
Yeah.
Kansas City, probably.
There's probably a huge market for it in some of them big cities. I bet you.
Yeah. I wouldn't personally.
God,
They
there's no
wanted-
way. I couldn't imagine. Yeah, we're skinning out Jerry today. Hey, Mittens. Mounted Mittens.
Yeah, what?
This
But
was my very
What were
first
they
cat.
thinking with? What was their idea behind the arm? Like, what they want to wrap it around
They
him to
didn't
sleep
really
at night?
ask. They didn't really ask. I don't know what they wanted to do with it. Either way, it would have been illegal. I think you would.
I was going to say, I would.
get some kind of a
Human
doctor's
I would have been.
prescription of
I would have been
some
like,
sort.
yeah, hold
This
on
better
real
blow
quick.
up.
Let me. I'd be like, yeah, hold on real quick. Let me see what I can do, and I would have dialed the police station.
Hey,
Yeah.
track this number.
When he first called, he said, "This is going to sound real weird," and I'm like, "Shoot, I'm
Yeah.
all ears. Let's
Yeah.
hear it." And he dropped that. I was like, "I don't know that you're going to find any taxidermist to take care of that." But, keep calling, I suppose.
Well, yeah.
Go around.
My question is, how do you get the? I'm like, what do you go to the funeral home and be like? Well, you can bury the body, but just hack that arm off.
I want an arm.
Yeah. I want to keep the arm.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, because even if you had an amputated arm, like say you went to the hospital, have to get an amputee.
Yeah,
wouldn't
they don't give
to
it
you.
back to you.
So I don't know where he got it.
Yep, here, we cut this off. You can take this home with you.
I'm really not sure.
Oh,
What would they do? Freeze dry it? They'd almost have to.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able.
it
to
almost.
count it.
I wonder if it would be hard to be a prank call. I couldn't imagine prank calling a taxidermist and saying, "Will you mount an arm?" Like, that's a psychopath.
Yeah, right. Jeffrey
Yeah, just
Dahmer,
kill my
maybe.
The guy was like straight up.
Yeah,
Serious?
he's like, I know this is going to sound weird, but he's like, I've called around and I haven't found nobody to mess with it. Like, I don't think you are. I'm not sure. You might have to call a morgue or something.
What the hell?
Speaking of dead things, one of the things you did that I like is your dead turkey mounts.
Yeah,
Them are badass.
them do look sick.
Them are like, I feel like turkeys. So I guess bird wise, you got a place. Obviously, now that kind of, I guess you taught Kate, he does a lot of the birds, but don't you got to pretty well place like every feather how you want it?
To an extent. I mean, you don't like pull them out and put them back in. They're all still in the skin. But yes, every feather on that bird has likely been touched with a tweezer.
Yeah, tweaked and turned. And
Yeah, I take a tweezers and they're all, they're kind of like a deck of cards where they all have to be overlapped a certain way. And if they're not, that one overlaps. So if it's kind of, one overlaps and then the one goes under instead of over,
Right.
you'll notice it every time.
Really?
That's my main problem that I will say with taxidermists is when I walk into any of their shops, I get some kind of new cool idea and I'm like, damn, I need one of those.
Yeah, I know.
Next thing you know, I got a whole list of things that I want to mount and get mounted, and I already got 2 turkeys mounted, but then I seen all your dead mounts. I'm like, okay, I got to have those. So now I'm gonna have.
Oh, I already said if I kill a big Eastern this year, I'm gonna get it dead mounted.
Yeah. I've had several people that came in and said that once they seen them, that's what they wanted. And I got a feeling this spring I'll probably be doing a bunch.
Yep, that's
hopefully-
our the guy who did our Rios on the pedestals, he had them sitting in his shop. He called us and said they were done, and I think he had them sitting there for like 2 weeks while they were drying, or however long it takes them to dry, or whatever. And he said, and it was in turkey season was the bad thing. And he said he had like 20 people come in that were like, "Yep, that's what I want right there. That same pedestal, that same mountain." He was like, he told us, he's like, "God," he's like, "Dude, I'm not saying that I don't want to do them, but he's like, I shouldn't have them birds sitting here." He's
Get
like,
them the fuck out of
yeah,
here.
he's like, he
Worst time
literally,
of year to have
yeah, he said they look so good, and he, excuse me,
I wish you would have knocked the price off for all the work I just got him.
yeah, he subs out all his pedestals. So there's a guy that did his pedestals for him.
Yeah.
And so he just had to mount the birds or whatever, but he's like, damn, he's like, and they're barnwood pedestals. So the dude, was limited on how much barnwood he had before he goes and starts buying it from a different barn, I guess. But he was like, he's like, dude, he's like, I got a pile to do this year. He's like, I wish I didn't have them sitting there.
Would, do you rather? Is there one thing you rather mount over something else, like birds over deer or coyotes, foxes.
I would say in particular, my favorite would have to be any kind of shoulder mount. Whitetails especially, but mule deer are fun. Antelope are fun. Turkeys, I used to hate turkeys. I hated them with a passion. And here lately, I've been picking up some different odd and end things off of other taxidermists, just off of Facebook. I find a lot of stuff off Facebook groups, just following those.
Hell yeah.
And even through like I've been to some seminars and stuff through competitions. I've never actually entered into a competition, but I did go to the World Show one year and was able to sit down and watch seminars. A lot of that helps if you just soak it in and you kind of already have your foot in the door and know what you're doing, and you take some of those and put it all together. The more I've learned, the more fun turkeys have been.
Yeah.
But yeah, at first I didn't know what I was doing, and they sucked. They were
You guys ought to come up to Iowa Deer Classic this year. I think Old Barn Taxidermy, they sponsor Working Class Bow Hunter. So I think all the 3 days of it's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All 3 days they're mounting Kurt, Austin, and maybe Doug's deer. Like they're gonna mount all three of their deer, the whole. Like you can go and literally sit and watch them mount the deer. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool.
yeah.
Go up there and
That'd be pretty
critique
neat.
them.
Yeah. Oh, you're not doing it right. A little
I've
to the
actually
left.
changed a lot of stuff. Probably within the last 3 months, I do my deer way different than I was before.
Yeah, just find a newer and easier, faster.
It's not necessarily faster, but it definitely turns out a lot better on my end, I think. A lot less issues in the long run. Just some different stuff that I've tried, and not saying it's right or wrong.
Yeah,
Just things that I've been picking up on, and things that I probably won't go back to the old ways.
right.
You know?
And I doubt there's not a single taxidermist out there that does something the exact same way as another.
no.
And it's like anything; they all have their own. Well, it's like art. Everyone has their own little way of doing it, or own
Yep.
trick.
Yeah, it's actually really hard to teach. You could teach and show someone the ropes as far as the basics go, but one way you do it is not everyone's particular method that could work better or worse.
Right.
But it is always good to take in. If you got several people doing it and you take in everyone's different ideas, you can make something work for you.
So what you were talking about, just like the different ways that people.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just watching the more you see someone else do taxidermy and several different people, you can kind of take that in and find a way that works best for you. It's very helpful to learn from several people instead of just one.
I got a question about tanning. So a lot of taxidermists, will they, like, you tan your hide yourself, correct?
I do.
Yeah. So will a lot of taxidermists send them off to a tannery?
Depends.
Depends.
Yeah.
Kind of 50-50 probably.
You could do what you want. I could send mine off. I could do them myself. There's benefits to both.
Yeah.
One benefit to sending them off is while your hides are being sent off, you can work on other stuff.
Right.
You're not worried about tanning them. You don't have that extra time. Whereas, like me with tanning them, I've probably got roughly 3 to 4 of that 12 hours is just in tanning.
Yeah, tanning.
And so I could shave that time off. But even if I sent my hides off and didn't tan them myself, and I lost, I gained that extra 3 or 4 hours.
You have that tan.
I have that tan price.
Yeah.
So your mount price is still going to be within that same ballpark range. The downfall that I see to sending them off, you don't know what kind of quality you're getting back.
Yeah.
For one. For two, your hide could get lost.
Oh yeah, or mixed in and just.
One of my biggest gut wrenching feelings would be to get a hide back, and they're like, I don't know whose they are.
Yeah.
There's 30 of them here, and we forgot to label them all.
Yeah.
Don't you have them tagged though, right?
I have them tagged.
Yeah.
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 But if they cut the tack off or something,
Yeah. Or so they
If
put,
you're putting it in
something
someone
stupid.
else's hands, you
Yeah.
don't know.
you don't know what could happen.
And
Yeah,
what's
I
that
can see
tanning fee even cost?
It could vary.
Okay.
It depends. Actually, I got a friend in Colombia that he's a taxidermist, and I talk to him every day. He sends his hides off. He sent them off to a guy local, actually around here, not going to say a name or anything, but
Right.
he gets them back, and there's holes in them,
Oh, fuck.
and the hides ain't, they're not
Yeah.
fleshed very good. So he found another tannery that does a really good job, but the price difference I think was like $20 a hide.
Yeah.
So not much, but it was definitely worth the extra $20.
Yeah.
to get it.
Yeah. Send it to someone who knew what the hell they were doing.
Yeah,
Well, I
For the
know,
$20, you can buy your own tanning bottle and do it yourself.
you could.
I know-
But like I said, then
Yeah.
you still have your time in tanning.
Well, that's true,
You
but one bottle you can get what, 3, 4?
4, but you have I think one bottle of tans roughly $40, about $10 a hide for tan, but you also got your salt, your sodium.
Yeah.
And that's just my method of tanning. There's several other ways to tan hides
Yeah, I
other
know.
than the way I do it.
Right.
So
There's some people that I've talked to. And I don't know, which one they supplement for, but they said that baking soda does the same thing for one of them. I don't know if it's all of them or if it's just.
it would just be a neutralizer, kind of like the sodium bicarbonate, I would assume. But yeah, you just find a tan that works for you, whatever seems to tan really well, and you trust it and it lasts. Or your hides are coming out nice and stretchy. They shouldn't be, They shouldn't be tight. I guess I would say.
Yeah.
They should kind of just be like a wet washcloth.
I would say the biggest thing too with like sending them off to a tannery is hell. Some of them are so backed up. I just had an otter that we trapped one a few years back, and I just wanted to have it soft tanned. Hell, I waited like damn near 2 years just to get it back, and they were like, "We're so back." The tannery place wherever this guy sent it off was. He kept telling me, "Oh, they're so backed up. I'm just waiting on them to get back." And I'm like,
They did a good job on it, but yeah,
they did, but if that's your full-time job and you're relying on someone else to get it done in a timely manner so you can get moving on work and out the door, hell,
Yeah.
it would suck waiting on someone else to, if you had nothing else going on to say,
right.
well, I can't do nothing imagine if you only did deer and you had all your hides gone and they were gone for
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah.
What are you going to do in that?
Typically, I wouldn't think they would be, but there is that chance where they could get behind, and then you're just sitting there. There's nothing you can do.
No. And I think part of the reason they were behind is because of COVID and
Yeah, COVID was a big hit for taxidermists. I don't know. I guess just everybody not having anything else to do than go outside and do something. But taxidermists got busy in 2020.
yeah.
I believe
And
it.
I was hearing different things, which just from woodworking, we were having problems getting. It was like the weirdest things having problems. You could get everything, but some little drawer clip you needed, and it's like, well, why is that? Or the other taxidermist that I was talking to was like, can't find eyeballs.
Eyes
I'm
were
like,
very hard.
Yeah.
what the hell?
And on top of all that, too, 2020 everything was normal price, and so all these deer that came in 2020. We all charged our normal price,
Right.
And then come about that next 2021 spring or so, everything went up. All the
Shit was
foam
double.
went up, all the eyes, everything went up, and here we are at a cheaper price, and we all got twice the work, and it definitely
Because we
hurt
put a
lot of-
dipshit in charge.
Yeah, I know.
Everything went up. I don't care whether it's a carton
Yeah.
of eggs or a
Yeah, I was
gallon of
gonna say
milk or gas. Everything went up. But look
and
who's
it's not
leading.
going to go down. Gas
No,
could
hell.
fluctuate, but everything else is still going to
Oh
stay
yeah,
the same.
I was gonna say it wouldn't surprise me in the next. I don't know. I'm gonna tell you the next year, 2 years. What I think the last year, what were I'm at 650, 600, 650. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 750 up to 800, $900 by the next year or two.
Mm-hmm.
But man, like you said, things go up and your time, you get better. Your time gets more worth it more. So. I don't know.
You can't do
I'm not
nothing
going to
about-
stop mounting shit. I might have to sell some fucking my left nut to get it done.
I
But
think everybody's just going to have to make more.
Yeah,
And it's not just
that's-
taxidermists; it's everybody in
yeah,
general.
that's it.
And that was another hit, I think, as well. That's just a personal opinion, I guess. But when you raise the minimum wage, everything goes up.
Yeah, no, sure it does. Absolutely.
That's what they don't understand is they raise minimum wage and think, oh, we're making more money. Well, really, like I said, the carton of eggs, a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, everything went up. So
Rent went
you're
up.
making $15 an hour now, but you're also spending more money. So when it evens out, you're doing no good.
Yeah. Well, your
That's-
business owner said, "Well, I got to pay you more, so now I got to have to charge more."
So
Yeah,
this ain't no shit. I talked to Shane. So our uncle Shane, big waterfowl hunter. I talked to him on the phone. I told him we would snow goose hunt with him next weekend, and he was asking about how busy we were. He said he was running, and he ran an ad on Facebook and whatever other thing he had. $22 an hour for someone just stand on a mower and cut grass, or sit on a mower and cut grass. All you had to do, not drive the truck, not weed eat, just drive a mower. $22 an hour. He said he's been running for 2 months and had nobody call him. He's like, well, what the hell? If I got to pay someone $30 an hour to mow grass, he's like, I can't charge. What am I going to charge? $200 a yard?
cut.
Correct.
Yeah,
And then you got gas it's coming down a little bit now, but that's only because it's election year and everyone, they're going to bring it down that way.
And as I said, gas will fluctuate. That's always one thing that could go up and down depending. But I guarantee, I'm sure you guys with cabinets, I bet your prices have gone up since then. I'm sure you with your truss plant, I'm sure all your lumber's gone up, and it's not going to go.
That doesn't go down once your price is set for what it is. That doesn't go backwards.
I know we're
Hardly
wanting to build
ever.
a house, and our square footage price per square foot on the house plant, it has gone up since we bought the lot in 2020.
Oh, I bet
You're talking
quite a
200,
bit.
$250 a square foot
Two,
finish.
they shot us $250 a square foot.
Yeah,
And whenever we
that's- yeah.
we were looking in 2020, it was $195.
Yep.
I mean, and so like there again, I can't just mount deer for free. If I'm wanting to build a house and live my life, take care of my wife and kids, you can't just do it for nothing. Otherwise, I just have to go find a job that actually pays.
Yep.
The quality of stuff has gone down.
The price is still there, but a lot of the quality of shit is down.
Like we have contractors that call, this lumber is shit. Well, we don't control what comes in on the truck. Mm-hmm. It's whatever comes in on
you
the
guys
truck.
just build what lumber you get.
Yeah.
You can only do so much.
Yeah, that's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Oh, there's knots all through this. Well, I mean, what do you want me to do?
People just
Oh, Scott stepped on it.
people just don't understand. But like he was saying, I know a guy that was paying someone $60 an hour, and the guy was like, "Man, I just don't want to work. I'm done." And he's like, what do you mean? I'm making pretty damn good money, and it wasn't a hard job either at all. And he was like, "No, I just don't want to work." He's like, "I don't care what you pay me. I'm just not going to work." I was like, "Are you
$60 an hour.
Yeah.
Was
No,
it-
and the dude
who
just
was
quit.
that? Brendan or Hunter?
No, I'm not even gonna say names or
I didn't know. No, I didn't know like whose business it was for.
no. But anyway, the guys like, "I just don't work." No, I mean, like I pay him anything.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even make that with if I was charging, and don't quote me on this because I haven't fully made up my mind, but I'm probably going to around $850 next year on shoulder mounts, and even at that price, I'm not even making $60 an hour.
Well, I was gonna say. I mean, hell.
Not even close, honestly.
Yeah. No. If you're at $25 an hour on something like that, you're probably sitting somewhere in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like you said, want to complain about it, and it is getting expensive, but everything is. And if you want, like for me, if I'm gonna kill a deer most of the time, I'm gonna put it on the wall. I mean,
Well, and this is another thing too, and it doesn't go for everybody. Some people don't have the money, hardly to hunt in general.
No,
but I do see a lot of guys like us that will buy nice new bows, will buy nice new camouflage, and I see several people that'll spend thousands and thousands to kill the deer they want, and then they'll cheap out on the mount because they don't have no money.
Yeah.
And it's like you may as well just spend the money.
and
once you
I'm
got
not
this far.
gonna, I guess, tell you right or wrong because, each their own. I love a good mount, and if it costed $850 for a good shoulder mount, to me, I might not have that money either, but I'm gonna find a way, or just respect.
Oh yeah, I'll get a
deer.
damn loan for it if I have to. I don't give a shit.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna, put a deer on the wall. But that's just me, and not that everyone, everyone has their own preference. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
to me, if however you like it and whatever you're happy with is great. We had a guy, actually, we have check-in stations, and where we're hunting, and we were talking to the agent there that was checking the deer in, and he said that they had this guy, and he brought in it was
Oh, dude said it was a giant.
like 185 90-inch deer, and see they got to take the lymph nodes out,
the
they cut
glands.
cut the neck, and so most of the time if you're gonna mount it, they can't test it,
Right.
whatever. And so they didn't even really ask him, like, oh yeah man, I'm sure you're gonna mount it, whatever. And he's like, no.
Yeah, he's like, he literally told me, he said, "Nah, cut him out."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like, really? And his buddy was like, "Oh man, he's killed bigger, and he don't mount anything. He skull mounts everything." And the agent was like, "Okay, I like pretty shocked, but he's like, yeah, okay." And he's like, "No, man, I've seen him, plenty of 160 plus inch deer. Had a deer or two over 200. And nope, the dude was like, no, I'm gonna skull mount everything."
Yeah, and some people are like that.
Yeah,
To
dude,
each their own. It's your deer.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
ultimately, I don't give a rat's ass if you mount it or not. I mean, so like I said, some people are. That's just some people how they are.
You don't have to mount it to like make
Correct.
me happy or
Yeah.
piss off. I mean, it's definitely your deer.
It's heartbreaking.
It is.
Yeah, I mean,
For us, it's heartbreaking.
yeah, I mean, just because as much work and shit we put into it, I
Lots
like.
of people would.
Yeah, I
enjoy
like
to
to,
kill
I
a
like
deer
to see the
that.
mount on on the wall, and that's not just for whenever I walk into my house and I'm like, oh hey everybody, look at my mount. But I like to be able to walk in. As soon as I look at my mount, I'm like, damn, I can replay exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And I just like it. But a lot of people aren't. Like I said, some people, whether they skull plate it or
Put it on a plaque.
yeah, put it on a plaque. God, that's sad. We've told this before, but one of the deer Spencer was trying to kill this year, one of his neighbors killed it. It was probably 165 inch deer.
Probably 60s, yeah.
Yeah, it was probably mid 60s deer. And the dude, so how the old time, like they had the wood plaque with like the felt.
Yeah, velvet or something over the.
Yeah, and
leather.
just screwed straight to it. And it's like 165 inch deer, and he sent Spencer a picture of it and was like, "Yeah, killed this one."
Uh-huh. I guess that's better than cutting it off above the eye.
Cuts it off above the brows. Was this the one you were looking for?
I don't know. I can't tell.
The shed horn. Or...
Gosh, no, that's funny, but no, it's. I don't know. I just enjoy taxidermy.
I understand some people though. Like you take some of your big time guys, Nick Mutt, Michael Waddell, all them guys, and you're killing how many deer they do.
Waddell don't mount shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
His all sit in a pile in his shed. I swear to God.
But think of how many deer
Yep.
that the place and how many deer to hang that Waddell's killed.
He's also got the money to probably build a shop just to hang them.
Yeah,
all
no.
day,
If you listen to him talk about it, which I've listened to him several times talk about it, obviously he has plenty of mounts, but he's just not a taxidermy guy. Like him and Nick Munt are completely opposite. So Nick Munt has a whole trophy room built. Like you walk in, he's got all this shit that he's killed from, he's Qatar or wherever the hell he shot his sheep and Iraq or wherever the hell he's at.
yeah, you do. You have those variety of people.
He's a taxidermy guy, and him and Michael
Getting
are,
sheep right down the road.
Uh-huh.
him and Michael are exact opposites. Michael has just in his shed, he may have, whether it's 160, 140 or whatever, he sets them in a pile, and he's got some deer mounted in his house. But him and Nick Munt are completely opposite. Yep.
Yeah, and that's just the difference in people and their their opinion. But I enjoy, like I said, not just deer mounts, but anything. I mean, we got a lot of people come into our house, honestly, and it's like, I just feel overwhelmed in here. And I'm like, yeah, well.
I get that a lot too at my house, but I've got a ton of stuff. Not just even mine. Like, I got walls full of everybody else's stuff till they pick it up. But I'm kind of like you guys. If I'm going to pull the trigger on it, I'm likely going to, unless it's something.
Unless it's
silly,
a management deer.
raccoon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But
Brady said like he killed a pretty management deer this year, and I probably wouldn't had spent the money, but I would have skull mounted it, and hung it up still. I wouldn't have just went outside and tossed it in a pile.
yeah, I'm not that. If I'm gonna if I'm gonna shoot it, like even a management buck, it's I don't know. To me, it's something that you pursued.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and this deer, I mean, we hadn't had any history with it really. We just had a farmer call and he was like, "Hey, got this deer. He's at least 5 years old. Like, I got no one that wants to shoot it. It's January 1st. And he's like, I got no one that wants to shoot it. He's like, if you want to go out and shoot it, you're more than welcome to. And he said, if you shoot it, will you please shoot me a doe? Me and Landon were like, yep, no, no problem. Hell, we'll just go shoot a doe. If we, first doe we see, we'll shoot. If we see him, we'll shoot him. Well, as it would work out, I shot him and then Landon shot a doe, and he was probably, I don't know, he's going to sit right around probably 100, 110 inches. But it was, I was excited as hell to shoot it, even though, he was a mature deer. He came out, and as soon as we looked at it, we were like,
oh, it was a cool deer.
Yeah.
We all have personal preferences. And I think as long as you set your own goal and you do what you want and you're happy with it, I think that's all.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, it goes back to just a hunter starting out, whether it's someone who, like I said, none of their family's ever hunted, and they're going to say, well, I just want to go out and I want to shoot the first thing I see.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I think me personally, I don't care if you're going to mount the deer, you're going to skull mount the deer, or you're going to hang it in your garage. As long as, when you kill a buck that you pursue or whatever, as long as you do something with it. What gets me is these guys that go out and they shoot the same 6-8 pointer every year, and then just throw the horns in the ditch with the guts and stuff. And it's like, well, why didn't you just shoot a doe? Like if
Save it for the people that are actually a trophy hunt.
Or if you're just gonna throw the and nothing against them.
No, it's their right to do what they want.
Yeah, exactly. And there's plenty of people that don't see deer or get to see deer like we do, and they're going to shoot the first thing that gives them opportunity, because some people may not eat unless they have meat on the table provided by deer.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people out there generally, like you said, you see year after year, they'll kill a deer and the horns end up in the ditch or whatever. And me personally, I just like, man, I just love antler, whether sheds, like going after a deer that
bigger antlers are always cooler too. I mean, I don't care. I don't care what anybody says.
No doubt. No doubt in my mind. Every year I'd love to kill a 180 plus or something. 150 plus even. But in my mind, if I don't have that to chase, if I've got a mature 120-inch deer and that's all I have to chase,
I'm
going to take that all year long.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. But like you said, everyone has the right to do what they want.
I was just trying to get to the point of if people that have to shoot the bucks over shooting a doe. There's more meat on a bigger buck than there is. I'm not saying
Yeah, I agree. I guess I'd like to just tell you, like, between a big doe and a big buck, like, there's probably still some difference, but how big of a difference?
Yeah. Oh, right. I mean, like I said, ultimately, I really don't care. It's your tag. You shoot whatever you want. Yeah. I mean,
I'd have to assume those people probably just don't care to hunt, and they just go sit out and they shoot the first thing, and just so happens every year it's probably just a young 3.5-year-old, and we all just shake our heads.
Yeah, I mean, that's just because
it happens all the time.
Well, everyone's got to climb. I feel like everyone's got to climb the ladder too. I mean, obviously, there's some people that, like you said, they don't care. I got a buddy, was really good friends with him in high school. And they didn't really bow hunt. They went out in rifle season. His whole family went out, and whatever came out, they were shooting. They didn't care. Mm-hmm. They just wanted the meat to make whatever. They had family time making the sausage and everything. But
which is great. I mean,
he killed some nice deer too. But it was the first thing they seen. They didn't care if it was a fawn, spike, or what the hell it was. They were shooting, and that's just how they grew up. But I have to believe that. There's always a part of you that wants to climb the ladder, whether it's, hey, I started out killing a spike. Next year I killed a forking horn. Well, hell, I just killed an 8-pointer. Well, hell, the next year, I'm not saying it has to be point wise either, but I mean, obviously when we were young, that's kind of how we went off of it until we were old enough to say, okay, well, that deer was probably 3. Next year, hell, I'm gonna pass that 3-year-old.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and shoot a 4-year-old.
It's not so much just antlers; it's age wise.
Right. Back when I was younger, I wouldn't do that, but here, I would say maybe within the last 3-4 years, maybe at most, I've passed bigger deer than I've shot.
Yeah. No, that's same with us.
Oh yeah, hell, we passed a 10-pointer this year that was bigger than the deer that I killed probably.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
people
It was equally as big or bigger as a 3-year-old.
people will call us crazy or whatever. On the same end as, we're talking about people, shooting smaller deer. There's some people that call us crazy for it, but that's just it makes us happy.
Well, and it honestly, it's kind of part of a conservation standpoint as well.
yeah.
Taking out some of the older stuff for the newer stuff. It's just like a tree, for instance.
Yeah.
You go
Oh,
in
yeah.
and a lot of people don't like loggers either, but they have a purpose.
Yeah, I mean, when your trees are ready to harvest, it'd be like your corn was ready to harvest. You better pick it, or it's not.
Yeah.
Before long, it ain't going to be no good. And that's
Them trees are gonna die off and have no value at that point.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and
Yeah,
that's
same
kind
with
of
the deer.
yeah.
Whenever he gets old enough, he's going to start shrinking and won't even be near as big of
Yeah.
a trophy for someone as it could have been.
No. And a lot of that too is I always say to people about hunting, just from the things that I've saw from being like a conservationist and doing work for wildlife, Mother Nature's pretty cruel.
It is.
It's a lot more humane for me to go out and shoot a deer and be able to have the meat to support a family and everything than for a deer to sit out there and
Oh,
get
shit.
disease and go die and
the absolute least painful thing a deer can go through, I guarantee, is an arrow going through its lungs, aside from dying of EHD. If anyone's ever seen a deer walk into a pond and just stick its head in the water or die, that shit cannot be. I mean, they
It's
just
like cancer for a human.
Oh yeah, or you take I get you can say get hit by a car, or just the different diseases they can get. Shit, that I mean,
And I've seen some deer that are just they're driving. All they know is to survive. I've seen deer that, like you said, got hit, half their legs hanging on, and they find a way to live or whatever. But probably
They ain't living very good.
yeah,
no,
no,
absolutely not.
They're-
no. I
The
mean,
quality of life isn't
No.
there.
Yeah.
No.
And that's why, that's, I think, part of the reason, as conservationists, like you said, it's the process of, that's the planting food plots, the growing the deer. Well, you get the deer to 5 or 6 to where it's like he's mature, he's bred probably X amount of does.
He's lived a good life.
Yeah.
He's not that
Right.
he's at the end of his life cycle, but hey, it's time to
I
take
would
him
say
out.
I would say a majority vote would probably say 5 wouldn't even be a mature age. I
Right,
think
yeah.
most people just say 5 because that's about as far as they're going to make it before the neighbor shoots it.
Yep. No, I agree. I think excellent point. Honestly, Cole, our buddy out in Kansas, you talk to him, 90% of the 200 inchers he's killing, or the deer that he's seeing where they're blowing up from, call it one, he won't shoot it honestly unless it's 190, 200. But his biggest jump he's seen from like 7 to 8 or 6 to 7, and honestly, I mean, out there it's not easy to do, but it's tough around here to get a deer.
Very. I feel like in Kansas you'd probably have a better chance because there's so many
Bigger
parcels.
the parcels are bigger, correct?
Whereas around here people can own 10 acres and
Yeah, you're talking 40s, 60s, 80s, all the way down to 5 and 10 acres. Hell, how many pieces of permission do you got or we got that are 5 acres or 10 acres or 30 acres? Small pieces of ground. And I know, Corey, hell, the big deer they had down on their farm, one of their neighbors killed it. And I mean, it was a nice deer. I wouldn't say it was a very old deer. It's probably a 4-year-old, but it had all kinds of
Had some
stickers and
crazy potential.
nice deer. And Corey's got 160 acres, whatever he's got. Nice size farm. And their neighbor killed it on 10 acres.
yeah. Well, that's what it is. It's so hard to manage.
Yeah.
Even if you've got 500 acres, the next guy next to you with 10
Yep.
could still kill your
And
deer.
I think that's
Seems like that's always where all the 3-year-olds go hang out.
Yeah.
I'm not
somehow.
I mean, I'm not saying this guy had corn pile out by no mean, but I think that's Ohio's, like, one thing with Ohio, the biggest complaint there, Jeremy and Jared always complain about it every time on Hunter Podcast, is you can throw out a corn pile, and it doesn't matter if you have 1,000 acres and you got 5 acres next to it, you put out a corn pile and you're putting out 500 pounds of corn a week. you can sit over that corn pile with a cell cam over it, and you're probably going to shoot fucking, a decent deer over it. And it allows people to compete, I guess, with that big ground. But it's also like, I don't know, the baiting thing is a tough, I could be persuaded either way on different opinions on it, but I think that's one thing that really faults Ohio. If Ohio didn't have baiting, I think Ohio would be fucking it even more insane than it already is.
I think the average age that a deer makes it around here can't be, 3.
Yeah. I'm going to say 90% of them get shot at 3 years old around here.
3 to maybe 4. That's where I was saying it's hard enough to get them to 5, let alone older. That's why a lot of guys that do manage around here.
You just take
5.
The disease, the Missouri rifle season, cars kill. I'd like to know how many deer cars kill a year.
Count on it.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like an estimated
Oh shit, I don't know.
I doubt
they have
they
an
do.
estimated number every year.
I doubt
Because the conservation won't even do anything with the deer on the road.
Right.
No.
They just let
Unless
them
it's
lay.
in the middle of it.
They'll just drag it
drag
off
it
and
to
then
the side. But
But
or they'll say, "Hey, since you called, just drag that deer off the side of the road."
I bet you as many deer as killed during hunting season has to be pretty close to the number of deer, or
Yeah, I'd say.
I guess
hit on the road.
I don't know. I can't say that. It might be say half of that, but there's got to be
definitely a lot.
a ton of deer killed every year on the road.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look.
We were talking about it pre-podcast. I mean, the deer we're looking at right over here. That deer we had pictures of.
3 years old.
Yeah. No. We had pictures of that deer for like 7 years in a row. And, I think we should have pulled the front teeth out of it when we got him done, but we didn't. But I'm going to tell you, he was a 7 or 8. Well, I guess he had to be 8 or 9 years old.
He was pretty old. I had pictures of him for
and
5 years.
No, we had pictures of him for a long time.
He used to honestly be quite a bit bigger than he is now, and like frame wise. And then he kind of he shrank a little bit. And then he put them weird drops on, but his home range, that deer was like.
That's what I was telling him. We would have killed that deer opening day had he continued what he was doing.
I could have told you what that deer was doing dang near every minute of the day. Like he was just.
And the wildest shit is he survives how long through EHD? Well, I guess called CWD now too, but he survives, how many years through it, and then he gets hit by a car two weeks before season starts.
Yeah.
It's like, God, damn it, you're 7 or 8 years old. Why are you getting hit by a car now? But just circumstance, he happened to run out in front of one. We're just,
I come close to hitting one all the time. Well, just in the city, not that many people are able to hunt, and there's so many deer in here around us anyway. I don't know how many deer I drive home at night, and it's like dodging deer in the roads, everywhere. So,
Well, hell, on my way over here, there's probably 20 in the wheat field down the road
yeah,
on one side and 15 on the other.
no, I don't doubt it one bit. And when you leave my house down here, and one of the neighbors or whatever, you'll probably damn near hit one tonight. Like it's just part.
Well, I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not.
well,
It's just part of it. But.
you want to go ahead and wrap her up? We've been going for close to 2 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't even know. I got, I guess, one more question. You were talking about the weirdest call you have, like the arm. What is the coolest thing that you've ever gotten to mount?
I don't know. Nothing really super crazy.
out of the ordinary.
I've got, it's kind of funny you say that. I've got something coming, should be coming, here within the next month, and I thought it was pretty cool. He called me a couple years ago when I was trying to slow down. I told him I didn't want to take it. A good friend, and done some work for him before. I was like, and in the back of my mind, I'd wanted to do it, but I didn't. I finally messaged him the other day. I said, "You still got it?" Because he was begging me to do it just a couple months ago. He dropped a deer off. And I said, "If you still got it, I'm going to do it because I'm feeling a little bit caught up."
Yeah.
But it's a piebald otter.
Oh, that's
That's cool.
super cool.
So it's pretty neat.
I don't have a headset on, but who called it?
That's very cool.
Bradley Deacon was his name.
Is that the guy? Is that who traps with Jake Rehagen?
No, I don't think.
Jake Rehagen's called.
I know some guys
I don't know.
just south of here, they call
They've caught like three of them.
like 3 of them.
I guess it's just that strain of where they are.
Yeah,
But yeah, they've caught 3 piebald otters.
I guess before we get off here too, I was gonna more or less just tell people, how long can you leave something, in a freezer before it gets freezer burnt? Like, how soon should you bring?
I would say it depends on how you take care of it in the freezer. So if you've got the whole head frozen whole, say if it's a deer, and you got the cape hanging down, you just cut it off behind the head, and you just throw it in there. I would guess a month or 2, them ears are going to start getting freezer burnt. But if you want it to throw it in whole head, wrap that back of that cape up around the ears, triple bag it. Actually, I told a client the other day, I shouldn't say the other day, it's been a few months now, but he shot one, I think October, November, and he lives in Springfield. And so it was going to take him a minute to come up. He just came up probably about a month ago. And I told him to wrap it up in a towel or 2. What that does just kind of keeps the dry, cold air off of the thin areas. And he brought it in, and it was just as fresh as the day he shot it.
Good. I just wanted to cover that because I know a lot of people that will, especially someone who killed their first deer or a deer that they've never, I guess what I'm trying to say is never had taxidermy done before. And it's like, I think I'm going to mount this deer, and they throw it in the freezer, Well, by the time they decide they want to do it or they find someone to do it, I wouldn't wait a year's time, or it could be no good.
Yeah. Now, what I would recommend if somebody wanted to wait, didn't have the money right then and there, bring it by. I can always cape it out. Once I cape it out, I can roll it up. Once I get the ears rolled up to where they're not exposed, that's the biggest thing. It'll last. Shoot, I pulled hides out 4 years down the road that I've had spares or something sitting around and decided to pull it out and tan it. It was still just fine. And once it's tanned, then you freeze it and it could last forever. Yeah. So, if there's ever anybody that's just like, I feel like I need to wait before I can afford it, bring it by. I can hold on to it.
Yeah.
And fill out your paperwork.
The biggest thing with that is too, if you do take the hide off of it and decide that you're no longer wanting to mount a deer, there's plenty of people that could use a spare cape, so it can always be used.
If it's a big enough cape, I usually like keeping them for spares anyway. So if somebody would drop it off and I caped it out, I would just say, a certain price for skinning it.
Yeah.
Here's your antlers back. I'll just keep the cape. And it's simple as that. But there's definitely times that I've had people throw them in the freezer and forget about them too.
Yeah.
It's always best, fresher the better. But if you are going to throw it in a whole head, at least take care of it. Put some towels or something to, mostly the face, the ears. That's the biggest portion.
So we have a speck and a few ducks there in the freezer that we were thinking of getting mounted. And I've had some people say,
we got a stud canvas back, and
definitely make sure to take a wet towel and wrap around the feet and the bill, I believe, because it'll start losing color or whatever.
Yeah, wet paper towel around the feet and around the bill. Rest of that, I would just say double bag. You could, same thing, you could wrap it in a towel if you wanted. But the majority of the parts that are going to freezer burn on a bird like that, a waterfowl, will be your beak and your feet.
And your feet.
Yeah, and a turkey, the head doesn't really matter too much. Don't ever, unless it's just a rare bird of some sort. I've even seen albino turkeys still have the same heads as a normal turkey.
Right.
So they get cut off anyway, and then you can get freeze dried ones or replica ones, but nonetheless, you never have to use the same head.
Right.
So same thing with the turkey. If you ever want to get one mounted, best place to shoot it's in the head.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people that are like, "Oh, I shot the head off. That's probably ruined the whole thing." It's like, that's the best.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Because the rest of it's what matters. The head doesn't.
Right.
Yeah. No, I wish you would have shot at full strut, and blown the fan off of it.
Shoot it right in the breath, everything. Just tear it up.
Yeah.
So that's always a good. And there again, people just don't really know, and so definitely nice to get on a podcast maybe where people can listen to it and get a little educated on what they should do with it.
Yeah, a whole 6 people.
And they're all sitting right here.
You never know. It could blow
That's
up.
funny.
Yeah.
But for like a turkey, like if say they do shoot it in the chest or the breast, the dead mount's about the only way they can go.
If they want to keep that particular part. I mean, for the
Yeah.
most part, turkeys are interchangeable. I can change the breast out on a
Yeah.
turkey, and you would never know the difference.
Well, I guess that's true.
The biggest part on a turkey that I would say you would want to keep would be the tail fan and the saddle. The saddle would be this part here,
Yeah, the top part
the
of
top
it.
part that goes
Yep.
against the tail fan. Sometimes that color can vary, especially in an eastern turkey.
Yep.
But for the most part, most easterns are pretty common. Merriam's, Rios are all very common. So, like, if you would blow that off, as long as I have a spare there that's in good shape, I can use it, and you wouldn't notice a bit of difference.
Yeah.
I can change a lot of parts out on a turkey.
Man, there's a dad always said it in cabinets, whatever, making cabinets. Sometimes it's not about, how good you are. It's how good you hide your mistakes. And I feel like that's a big part of taxidermy
Very
too.
big part.
Hiding. I'm not saying hiding major mistakes, but there's a lot of things we do in the cabinet
And not
business
necessarily, I guess I can say just like your mistakes, as far as of like
Yeah.
you're talking scars, stuff
yeah.
that you can't control.
Yeah.
Or same kind of thing with cabinets. You're working with wood. There's different things are
imperfect
like
knots and wormholes. There's different imperfections in
a
it.
bow in the wood.
Yeah.
How good can you get it to fit
Yeah.
something?
Yeah,
know?
I mean, it goes for anything.
Yeah.
As long as you got a passion for it, you can make it work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, everything. You just got to have the patience and the passion.
What would you say? What's the dumbest thing you've ever mounted? Like, have you ever had someone bring something in and you're like, what the hell? Like, I would not do that.
An arm.
Yeah, and besides the arm.
Man, I don't know. I've had people want to do like squirrels holding beer cans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just off the wall stuff. I had somebody that had a set of elk antlers and he wanted to put it on a white-tailed deer. Just as a joke. It's one of my good friends. And just weird stuff like that sometimes.
Goofy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't do it. I'd have to know you pretty well
pretty
for me
well.
to want to spend my time to. I'd much rather put out good quality work than jokes.
Something
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah. I mean, if I got time to mess with it, sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times it's kind of hard to squeeze something like that in whenever you're trying to take care of all your customers that want good work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No doubt.
Well, that, and I think we might have been talking about it earlier. It's one thing with some people don't know, but where we try to take care of the animal as best we can, and I try to get it to taxidermists in a timely manner because I want it to be the best that it can.
Yeah.
But same for you. Someone brings in something that rotten, nasty. Well, not only or is it on your hands now, but you also got to try to clean it up and make everything look good for other
yeah.
people coming in to, just to look at your work. You don't want to take
that
something
called?
in that's,
no.
all beat up and, destroyed and have to try to piece it back together
Yeah.
for someone else to see your work.
I've definitely had deer come in that were starting to rot where you could tell. You just pull the hair and the hair will just fall right out.
Ugh.
I can't fix that.
Yeah.
You know, I just instantly got to tell them, we're going to have to get a different cape for
Yeah.
it because there ain't, even if the rest of it, like just depending on where that bacteria ate, the rest of it may not slip, but that one spot's still going to ruin the rest of the mount.
Mount.
Yeah. I was scared whenever I killed that deer in Kansas, and I was scared. So you can't bring any, you can't bring any brain matter or like spine across the border, I guess.
Right.
So whenever I killed it, we had to do we did the Y cut, I think is what they call it, where you kind of go up the back and you spread to both antlers and then you cape it off the head. And luckily we had, Cole was with us and he knew how to do it perfect because he's done it on a lot of his deer. But the whole time we were doing it, I was like, oh my God, like we're going to ruin the cape.
Oh, you won't ruin it. I mean, it could always be stitched, but
Yeah, that's what he was kind of showing us as we went. Like he had a screwdriver in there, like going around the pedicles and stuff, and he was showing us different ways that he did it, and it came out perfect. So I guess if we had to do it again, I could, but that was also a thing I was worried about this year elk hunting.
Yeah, that's something too. Talking to or looking at regulations and stuff, and talking to a taxidermist if you're going out elk hunting or something, mule deer hunting, and you plan on, or like in our case, we were whitetail hunting, but we couldn't bring it back across, from state to state.
I don't know how much that is, I'm pretty sure you could have brought that back, but it would have had to go straight to a taxidermist
Really?
or a butcher.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
and
then you would have-
that could be.
You would have to dispose of it in
Correct.
some kind of manner.
A proper manner, and
Yeah.
with that proper manner is just throw it in the trash can so it goes to the landfill. So all your landfill deer are probably getting CWD.
That's why Landon was so fucked up.
But yeah, that's
They
what they
turn-
call the proper disposal. They don't want us throwing them over the fence as much as they don't want anyone else doing it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it goes to the proper disposal. Nope.
And honestly, it was nice, and you know, we got to bring the skull cap, and we had the cape all wrapped up in ice and stuff, and you know, I already had the skull cap on the way back, so we got to show people immediately. But it was one thing I was worried about this year elk hunting. I was like, all right, if we kill, like, I had a bull tag. If I kill a bull and we're sitting on the side of the mountain, the last thing I want to be doing is going, all right, well, I killed a bull, I want to mount. Now what the hell do I do with it? You know, I'm not just going to cut the head off of it. So before we went, I made sure, like, I talked to several people, and they're like, no, you need to do it like this is what you need to do. And so I had all our bases covered that way if we did kill something. Which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I just recommend reaching out to a taxidermist, even a local one at home, or you can even call, like, we're out in Kansas. You could call an area close to us and say, hey, man, if I kill a deer, would you mind being able, you know, it might cost you $50, but, or have, you know, I don't know what it would, but just for instance, you know, having someone do it if you don't feel comfortable yourself. But a lot of times you talk to a taxidermist before going on hunting trips and stuff. And the one guy happened to show us, like, you know, this is how to do it without, you know, cutting, ripping all the way down the back and having to seam it. You know, this is how he did all his. And it was pretty simple, really. I mean, if I had to do Brady's deer, yeah, I'd 100% do it. I mean, because it's his deer. But if it was mine, you know, like,
Yeah, I'd be nervous.
If it was my deer, I'd be nervous as hell doing it, you know, because I just feel like it's always different working on, you know, not that it would make any difference at all. It's just kind of always like having someone else do mine than myself.
It really is. Even whenever I shoot my own deer and bring them home, I'm always more nervous for some reason on my own deer than I am customer ones, and I don't do it any different. But
Yeah.
I don't know why I am. I just am.
I think that's just kind of just a thing of working on your own stuff. But it's like we can work on different things for anyone else and be just fine. And it's like I work on something of my own. And it's just like, I don't know.
More particular, I guess. I don't know why.
oh yeah, anytime we build shit for ourselves, I'm always way more particular.
But what's weird though is, like, even throughout the process, 100%, there's nothing different that I would do to my personal deer that I would anyone else's.
Yeah, that's how
It's just, I guess, the relief of not
yeah.
feeling that it's on you, that it's your own. I don't know.
Yeah.
Why. I really don't. But
I don't
I
know
do
either.
feel that too sometimes.
Yeah, the kind of the pressure or whatever. I'd rather just have someone else do it, you know. In reality, I should want to do it myself. That way I know how it turns out. But I think it's the point that if it gets, like, if I do actually nick a hole or whatever, I can't be mad at no one but myself. You know?
Actually, I tell you what, I've had Cade do a couple ducks for me at my house, and they're my favorite ones.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's because I don't know what flaws are there
Yeah.
because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
There's a few taxidermists in the big world of they're really good taxidermists, very good, like, and they'll still send their stuff to other really good taxidermists.
Yep.
For that reason, because
Yep.
they don't want to know the flaws in it. They
Yeah.
like it better.
Well, that's one thing. I can look at a lot of things, or, you know, like if I do it myself and I can see the tiniest flaw and I can almost point it out to you and you'd be like, man, I don't really see that. But I know it's there. And so I know, like,
Yeah.
no matter when I see it, I look at it. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go start nitpicking your 200 incher.
same thing with cabinets, you know, or going in anyone's house, like we were talking earlier. I can go in there and instantly start seeing different things and be like, oh yeah, someone, you know,
They have no idea.
whoever, you know, like, damn, they did some shitty work, or damn, I wouldn't, you know, how did they even think that was okay to leave? But the person that lives in the house would be like, oh, I love everything, looks great. And I'm just like, how does that doesn't make sense at all. But it's like,
Oh, when
no
you
sooner
see,
than
yeah,
you point
you
something
see
out,
it every day,
then it's
it
like,
just becomes,
you know, they start thinking of it and like, well, I never realized that before. And then it's like, and then I've had some people be like, well, now that's all I see is what you know, like what you said. And I'm like, well, you asked me what I thought. You know,
fuck, throw it away.
same.
I'm gonna have to get redone.
Dude, I'm sure same with a mount, or like if you're doing it yourself, you know, it's kind of like even the smallest flaw, you just
Yeah. Well, I won't tell you anything wrong with these
Yeah.
ones down here.
I hate to keep going, but honestly, I want to get it done to all my heads. There's a company called Classic Rack, and Working Class has had them on several times. They do some cool shit. So they got a 3D scanner, and it's like I think it's $35 or $40 or something like that. Maybe even be $50, but it's somewhere in that range. And you can take. They'll come to your house and do it for cheaper, but you can do it on your phone, and they'll scan your deer mount. That way, you have insurance over it, and they'll send you a thumb drive of it. So if, say, your house burns down, you have all your deer copied, and they're exact copies of them. So then you can, you know, from your insurance, you can say, okay, well, it's going to cost them, say, $1,000 to redo this mount, and that can be included into your.
you can have all
Yeah.
your mounts remade. That
Yep.
way, if your house burned down or whatever, it's not like you lost the antlers and everything. And you
Yeah,
don't have
everything's
anything.
scanned, and
Everything
How would
is.
they remake the antlers though out of a 3D or something?
Yeah, so the 3D scan that they have is so good. Like the 3D scan of they have is so good. They can make it literally identical.
I'd like
And
to see
It's like
it. I
getting a
wonder
re-
how
it's
legit
like
they
getting a
are.
I'll pull it up when we're done on Instagram,
Yeah.
like how cool it actually is. And obviously the program they have, like you can pay them to come to your house and they'll scan everything, and it's you know, I think it's $50 a head is what they charge.
I think it's like a lot of people that kill big deer end up selling it or whatever and have a replica made or whatever. Kind of the same.
Yeah, is what it is.
The
It's
same
the
basic.
replica
I mean,
process.
well,
They
you
just
can-
get a different cape.
You can replica them with a cast and mold.
Yeah.
So, but if it burns up, you don't have that to cast and mold.
I'll pull it up right
Yeah,
now.
but
'cause
I guess
it's insane, and they're working. So Working Class is obviously sponsored by Old Barn Taxidermy. So Classic Rack works with Old Barn. So they're offering now, like if you took your, like say I said, okay, I'm gonna take my deer head to Old Barn for an additional, like, you know, being that they work with them, it may only be $30. We'll scan your head while it's getting mounted. We'll send you the thumb drive of it.
That's pretty.
So you have the thumb drive. Say, oh fuck, my house burns down, but I have the
Yeah,
digital
hopefully
drive of
your
it.
house never.
Well,
burns.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah, but you
hopefully
always
it
gotta be
doesn't. But
prepared. You
yeah,
never
you
know.
You never know.
no, you don't. I
And
mean,
honestly, it'd be something that I definitely going to look into because as many mounts and stuff as we have down here,
Yeah.
even I just if something ever did happen to them,
As we discussed earlier, it's not a cheap hobby. Even if you went a cheaper route, it's still not cheap.
yeah, no,
and I don't care, I guess, what your mount looks like or anything. A lot of it's like what the value to the person.
Correct,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, what I was getting at earlier, you could tell me it cost me $1,000 to mount something, but to me,
look,
I
look
value
at this
that-
shit. That's their digital scan of this guy's antlers.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, and so they can go off that digital scan and do a replica of, and they've done like mammoth. So they have like little statues they can do of them, like replica statues of them. They've done. My phone's giving some nasty feedback, but they've done. Here's a replica moose antler they did for a guy. Like it's,
They just have to be stained.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a normal replica would have to be.
colored up, but at least you'd be able to.
Yeah, have your mount back if something.
Yeah,
would
it
happen to
it might not be, or it's not gonna be the exact, the real thing, but it's gonna be the pretty well basically the same. It's just not gonna be real.
Here's Skylar's first mount.
Where'd you pull that off of?
Yeah, that's funny. No, their page is cool though, man. I'd recommend whatever. Like I said, no affiliation at all, but I'm all for preserving that.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, even if you had insurance on your home, you could probably toss that in
Yeah.
and let them know how
Yep.
much your home's actually worth.
Yep.
'Cause,
And
I mean,
that's
if you're talking 20 mounts at $1,000 a piece.
yep. That's in the replica. I think the replicas, obviously they're expensive. So, like you said, getting that,
That's my problem. No wonder I'm broke. It's all hanging on my wall.
start selling.
Well, you're in.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, and I mount my own. So It's still expensive for me as it is anyone else.
Yeah. But like I said, it's the value to it. You know,
It is.
I mean, that deer right there probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you, but to me, you know, it holds a lot of value.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, it doesn't because that's Brady's deer.
Throw it away. All right, hell, we better get out of here. We've been going a while. So, Skylar, appreciate you coming on. We'll have to have you on again. We'll have to get Waylon in here and have him tell some mule deer stories. Oh no, hold on. Before we leave, we got to talk a little shit on somebody. What? Tell us the story of what happened when you got your bow worked on and you shot at that like 200-inch mule deer.
We might just have to save that for another one.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll save it for another one.
We'll get me and Waylon in here. We'll talk about it because he was standing right behind me when it all happened.
Okay, we'll save that for another one. But yeah, all right, everybody. We appreciate you listening. Again, we're in partners with HLRBO, a leasing company. If anyone out there's looking for a lease, don't hesitate. Look at HLRBO. They have listings all across all 50 states and Canada, all over the place. So check them out. But nonetheless, hopefully everyone had a good deer season. Hopefully everyone can pick up some sheds, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget, wrap your tag around the main beam.